Ginger loves to shop at the thrift stores, but I'm thinking thrift stores, that's 75% off everything, so we're good.
True, and also...
All right, guys, so I got put on the spot there, but did Mr. Duggar ever grill you guys about your financial situation before marriage?
Okay, did y'all not fill out like a whole little thingy for Daddy?
Well,
yeah, they did.
Parts of it.
Everybody did the 30-page questionnaire.
For you.
Hey guys, it's Katie from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome back to my channel. It's Thursday, April 22nd. I hope you're having a wonderful day. If it's sunny where you are, raise your hand. Okay, it's the 22nd of April. We have so much to catch up on. Ginger and Jeremy are on a publicity, they're on a publicity blitz right now for their new book, The Hope We Hold. The book will be out on May 4th, and they are doing everything they can to get pre-orders and people to buy this book. Now, I do want to remind you that Jesus is free and so is hope. So if you want to skip the book and just get hope and Jesus, you can do that. If you're looking for some Duggar tea, maybe you want to buy the book. Now, in an interview with Us Weekly, Ginger and Jeremy have been answering a lot of questions, and Jeremy is doing a lot of the talking. I don't know if we should be surprised. Ginger has always been one of the sisters that's more, I would say, tempered, reserved. She does speak, but I don't know, she's been the sister that's always kind of anxious, a little bit apprehensive, cautious. And if you remember, when they went to Japan and they all dressed up as geishas, or they went to this place and people painted them as geishas and they took a photo, Ginger was really, really scared to do this and very apprehensive to be a part of it. So I kind of think of that as Ginger as a whole, just sort of apprehensive and reluctant and maybe cautious and worried about how people will perceive her. Maybe a bit of a perfectionist, which is not uncommon with the way that these girls were brought up, to be joyful, never to say a bad thing about anyone, to never talebear, to just basically be a good example and be the kind of woman that your husband would be, glad to have, that everyone compliments. Have a meek spirit. I think that's what Jeremy said. He liked that she was meek. Anyways.
I've done so many bad deeds. I've sinned against God, and I cannot save myself from my sins. And so at that point, I was just totally broken before God. And I said, God, the only thing that I need right now is your forgiveness, and that will only come from you.
So in this latest interview, well, it was a whole interview, and obviously Us Weekly is giving us bits and pieces, but they did address what's going on with Jill and Derick, kind of. So Jill and Derick have been very open about their struggles with the family. They have called out Jim Bob Duggar for not paying them for being on Counting On. They've talked about leaving Counting On. They've talked about some of the struggles that they've had since leaving the show. They've also talked about having to hire an attorney for Jill to recoup money that she should have had been paid as a result of being on the show. She has spoken about triggers in her home, issues with the very conservative beliefs that she grew up around, and has been sort of the one to push boundaries. She drinks alcohol now, she has her nose pierced, she wears jeans. She really doesn't feel like you have to do all of these little things to be able to get to God's heaven or to be in good favor with God. As she is sort of deconstructing her fundamentalist beliefs and moving into the modern world, some of her siblings are not. And they have been either married to men that are still in the IBLP, or they are married to someone like Jeremy, who is in a different sect of Christianity, but still incredibly conservative. Jeremy is in a reformist group led through John MacArthur, and he is kind of a doozy, but we'll go there another day. Anyways, Jeremy and Ginger are in their own little right, very much conservative, even though Ginger wears pants and shorts. That's because Jeremy doesn't mind that she wears those. And they still have very conservative beliefs about, the family structure and about just basically, I don't think she's lost a lot of the beliefs that she grew up with. She's just transferred them to Jeremy. What's remained constant in Ginger's life is that she's a steady, committed, and a very loyal daughter, and has always been very loyal to her mother. She and her mom have a very close relationship, and over the years, that loyalty has meant that she rarely speaks out, doesn't say anything ill, and Obviously, when she was asked about the current situation with her sister Jill, she didn't have a ton to say, but she did say that she loves Jill very much and that she FaceTimes with her a lot.
I love Jill and Derick, and so I talked to Jill on FaceTime, and yeah, we've connected and all, and so we just really love them. And
she didn't directly address any of the issues that Jill has brought up in the media, and Jeremy then sort of took over this conversation and effectively said, you know, they're in the public eye, they have family problems, all families have problems, and they just happen to have public issues, but we do hope that this family will come back to restoration. We're just giving them time and space.
And we know they're working through some things, and so, you know, we're giving them their, you know, time to do that, and with whatever they're working through, but we've got a great relationship.
So what I sort of got out of that, if I read between the lines, is that they have a distant relationship from Jill and Derick. Now, Derick and Jill, Jinger and Jill, just to give you an insight, have never really been super close. Jill and Jana growing up were close, and Jessa and Jinger were close growing up. So Jinger and Jill weren't necessarily like BFFs per se. So I wouldn't expect them to be like super close as adults. And because Jill has been a little bit more of a rebel and Jinger is more of a wanting to please her parents, I wouldn't expect that they also always get along on how they make decisions about their life right now. She says that they love each other, they love the family, everyone loves Jill and Derick, but they also didn't really say that like they're actively engaged with them. They just said like, oh, we saw them at a wedding and we had some good conversations with them. So I'm wondering like at the wedding what they're actually talking about. Are they talking about like Jeremy's creepy church, or are they talking about Fenna? Do you think they talked about their new dog? Maybe they kept it really light. You know what I mean? Like, weddings are not the time or place to really get into anything too deep. So maybe it was really just honestly catching up on life. With that being said, Jeremy did most of the talking and effectively just said, you know, we're giving them the space to heal and we are going to let them sort of come back to us.
Yeah, you always hope that families, you know, are united, and you know, family is strong, and so there's going to be difficulties in every family.
So the issue here is that I don't know that there's going to be specific healing in this situation, because for Jill has effectively rejected so much of her belief system growing up, and she is rejecting this idea that she should have to be on a show because her dad said so, that she should have to work for free. She has rejected this idea that she should have to be subjected to speaking about things that she doesn't want to talk to because her dad wants her to talk about things on Megyn Kelly. She doesn't want to have to be out vocally dealing with so much and having to be sort of the mouthpiece of the family. How do you get to a place of restoration when your parents don't want to recognize or take responsibility for any sort of the damage that they've caused? Jill and Derick spoke openly about their frustration with the family business. So when you marry into the family, you become a family business. And you know, Jeremy actually echoed this, that he didn't realize that once they got married, they would continue on with the show. He thought, and he said this in the interview, that when they started on Counting On, when he was introduced, he didn't realize that after they got married, they would not move on. Like, he thought that they would get married and then they would move on to their ministry and they wouldn't really be a part of the show anymore. Not realizing that Jim Bob wanted them to be a part of the show, and they have remained on the show.
But I just saw it as sort of a thing where, like, if we you know, are dating and we end up getting married, then, you know, that would be that, and we would kind of move on with our life.
And one of the things that's been most hotly discussed in the rumor mill is that people around them say that Jill and Jinger and Jeremy don't want to be on the show.
If we're going to be involved in the show, what does that participation look like, and why would we be involved in the show? It's really the same reason we were motivated to continue with the show. This is the same motivation for.
So it also surprises me that, you know, you're giving them time and space to heal, meaning you want them to come back to you, to your situation, when I feel like Jinger and Jill have way more in common than they don't. They're both being forced to be on a show they don't want to be on. They both don't have they both didn't have the flexibility or the freedom to do what it was that they wanted in their personal lives. They are bound to the family. They were bound to a family business that they necessarily didn't want to be a part of. Sometimes I feel like the critical thinking here is not there, or else they're just happy being there. But I get the sense that with all of this promotion by Jinger and Jeremy, they are trying to actively take steps away from counting on, because it seems like they want to establish themselves in their own right as their own sort of spokesperson for Jesus.
Of opportunity that God gives us to share hope. This is a difficult world. The unknowns of tomorrow loom large and can be frightening.
So while the Duggars have been doing their ministry, which is, why do they all have ministries that they profit off of? I'll say it again, Jesus and faith are free. And you can actually get it for free without the dash of homophobia that you get with these people. But anyways, I always think that like maybe Jeremy and Jinger want to develop their own brand of Christianity ministry. And so that's why they want to separate. They want to have their own identity in their own religious space in the commercial market, which is so weird to me. So I think they do want to leave the show. It seems evident just in the way that they've talked about it, the way Jeremy said he didn't really want to be on the show. He was surprised that they were still on the show. And then now they're promoting this book. She's constantly doing promotions. They were doing the podcast. It seems like they're taking a lot of steps to try to make their own identity in their own way, much different than, say, Jessa or Joy, who don't. So with that being said, are you surprised that Jinger and Jill talk? Do you wonder what they talk about in these FaceTimes? I'm sure they do talk. Jill does seem like the kind of sister that no matter what is going to make sure that she has a relationship with her sisters. And she did say that she has to keep them sort of at a arm's length, and some relationships are good and some that are not. One of the rumors that did come out too was that Jinger did not approve of her sisters speaking out negatively about the family. I don't know if that's true or not. That came from the Sun, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I would think of any of the sisters that might not approve of her speaking out, it would probably be Jinger and Jessa, because they're still so heavily involved in the show. But that's just me. So with that being said, and then Jinger being so connected to her mom, she might not want to hear anything negative about her mom. So with all of that being said, are you surprised that there is this rift, or that they are downplaying the rift, and they're basically saying like, it's not that big of a deal. We all have issues. We all have problems, but we are going to hopefully come back together and be restored? Or do you think there's a lot more that they would like to say, but they're not, just because they don't want to bring down the family name and they're still connected to the show? I always have to take things that they say with a grain of salt, knowing that they are under contract with TLC, so disparaging the Duggars would not be in their best interests. So tell me what your thoughts are about all of this in the comments below. Bye, guys.